power, the and, kingdom, the is, thou, thine. The is thine, kingdom, the is thine.
Hey, wait a minute. Don't read anymore. I know what that is. That's the Lord's Prayer backwards. That's the Lord's Prayer backwards. That's the Lord's Prayer backwards.
Hello. Thanks for joining us here on Bronze Age Monsters. This is the show where we wade into the weirdest and wildest waters of the comic books of the 1970s. This season on BAM, we are talking about Damon Hellstrom, a.k.a. the firstborn of the House of Hell, a.k.a. the Exorcist Supreme, a.k.a. the wielder of the Soulfire, a.k.a. Satan's son, a.k.a. the Scion of the Netherworld, a.k.a. the Son of Satan. I'm your co-host, Matt Howell.
I'm your other host, Jacob Balcom.
Thanks for joining us this week, everyone. Yeah, Jacob's here. That's awesome.
I'm here.
That was very like Conan O'Brien or something. Like you do high fives to the crowd and
yeah. I was high fiving my cats on my way into the living room, so I'm good.
Cool. So I'm glad your town car got here just in time.
Yep.
And hope your limo driver's keeping it a nice and cool 63 degrees inside for when the show's over.
Well, that's what he was instructed to do. So we'll see.
Thanks everybody for joining us. This is very exciting. Speaking of, we did have some comments. We mentioned that we wanted to give away one of our handy dandy water bottles. Have I shown you this yet? I have a whole closet full of crap now. So, and these are actually nice.
I've heard a lot about them.
I put these stickers on here when I was watching The Visitor for the second time. But there's these nice water bottles. Got a Bronze Age monster thing on there, and these are like the real deal. I have no idea how much these cost. I guarantee these were not cheap. My work had to phase them out because we got bought by another company, and the other company said, we want a subsidiary of added to all of your stuff now. So we had to get rid of like thousands and thousands of dollars of polo shirts and water bottles and everything else. And so, yeah, I just said, can I have some? And they said, sure. And I said, can I take several? And they said, yeah, I don't see why not. And so I went to my car and took like 4 loads of armfuls out. So what we decided we're going to do is give some of those away to people as thank yous for folks that are that gave comments on or chats in the last episode. And we're going to do that on this one too, and the finale and stuff, and just kind of give them away to folks. So what I did was made a little matrix of like who commented on the last episode. And I'm going to roll this, our haunted 30-sided die to figure out who that is.
Let's do it.
14. And on my little matrix, that is David Goodwin.
Oh, David Goodwin. There you go.
Yeah, DM me or whatever you do, and I think I have your address somewhere, but we'll send that to you. Thank you for participating. Again, I'll send that to you happily, free of charge, as a thank you, and drink in good health.
Yeah, you were right. They really do look like some vintage Coleman thermos or something. Like, yeah, that couldn't have been cheap. Those are nice. I kind of want one.
You can, of course, you have one. You're the fucking co-host of the show.
We'll see. I mean, I'll leave a comment. We'll see if I get rolled. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and speaking of some other business, the finale is coming, and I was thinking, we kind of dropped the ball here. There was a bunch of fancy drink submissions, and we were like, this is gonna like cost hundreds of dollars to buy a bottle for 2 ounces of something to try it. And then I was thinking, what if I come down to Klamath Falls, we do the finale down there and just make those drinks and make the final decision on the air during the finale.
Damn.
That would solve a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's figure that out. But that was my brainstorm this week as a way around
a little
that.
field trip to rural Oregon.
Yeah. I haven't been called any kind of slurs in a long time for, not having a truck or anything. So let's see how that goes.
Come on down.
Cool. Okay. Speaking of, funny that David Goodwin was chosen by the Dark One because he sent us a little something. And so, if you recall, was that last episode? Yeah, the thing with the Marvel 2-in-1.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking a bit about how funny it was that the Thing was really excited to go to a ghost town and that he was scared to ghosts, even though he's virtually, invulnerable. And David sent us a nice little thing here. He said the speculation during this week's episode regarding Ben Grimm's fascination with and vulnerability to ghost tales brought this to mind. One of my favorite goofy as balls sequences from Lee Kirby Fantastic Four apparently Reed's notion that the Thing would give his eye teeth to visit a haunted town was based on a long history of witnessing an anxious obsession with ghost tales. So he sent us a couple of screenshots. This is from Fantastic Four 58. So yeah, we get to see here that Ben is in fact reading a collection of ghost stories. And Reed approaches him as Ben's like reading out loud, talking to himself about how spooky they are. And he puts his hand on his shoulder and he says, like, I don't remember a hand being on my shoulder before. Like, it's all just like really bad comic relief. And it scares the shit out of him. So thank you, David, for filling in our that was not Mandelo making that up. He actually likes ghost stories and is scared of them and loves them.
That's great. I mean, I'm ashamed to say I have read the entire Lee Kirby thing and didn't put that together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Glenn, I love Ben Grimm too. Glenn, that I think that last issue was for us, we were grumpy. I think that we were
a little bit.
Yeah. But anyway, I appreciated the insight to that. I appreciate it. And you can't cream a ghost.
No, you can't.
So anyway, that was that. So thanks, David, for sending that in. I appreciate the insight here. And I know I made a point of getting onto our Discord server and tweeting and putting on Instagram out that FYI, everybody, we are reading Marvel 2-in-1 before the third part of this 3-part story because it came out first. And I didn't want people to get upset because like Jared, I think he listens to the show, he reads the issue and then listens to the show while he works. And the last time that I did the switcheroo thing, he was going, damn it, I read the wrong book. So I went out to make a point of doing that. And I think he still read the wrong book, but that was not on me. So I'm not doing an apology. There's no Matt Howell apology this week, just regular old podcasting.
I kind of miss the Matt Howell apologies. I know Michael misses the apologies. I mean, you need to try and say something a little offensive, at least every month or so we can. And then we need apology music. So if you do more apologies, I think we were going to try and convince Michael to write some apology music that would go underneath it. So maybe we can do that when we see him next.
You know what? If Michael's willing to write an apology theme for me, I'm willing to be more offensive.
Yeah.
So,
that's worth it. It is.
Give a little, get a little.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you ready to jump into this issue?
Oh, I'm totally ready. Very excited about this one.
I did want to mention that this is officially this is season 4, even though we rebranded. So it's our 20th episode of season 4. So this is our 420 episode.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. I haven't partaken in it or anything, but just want to call that out there. So folks, if you're out there listening right now, you can put down everything and take a big bong rip before the show proceeds.
I'm looking at my non-existent watch and saying mine will kick in probably about a half hour. So it'll be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do like that you have a non-existent watch, so that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So I had a really long week. I was traveling for work this week and I had like 12, 14-hour days and 3-hour time change. So I'm a little zonked, still kind of recovering. So I might be a little spacey. So you might have to cover for me a little bit here, Jacob. And
That's okay.
Carry that weight.
I'm ready.
But I just want to say I'm not heavy, but I am your brother.
Okay. Yes, you are.
Okay. What are you drinking, by the way? I'm having Old Forester.
I am drinking a double Ramita alteration because I was like, you know what? It's a live stream. I don't want to get up and make myself another drink. So I'm just going to try and slowly sip this, but a Ramita alteration and I got the fancy Amareno cherries this time.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, it goes down so smooth. I'm going to try and drink it slow so I'm not slurring and spacey by the time we get to, page 17. I'm gonna
So you
try.
don't have like you know how Trump had a Diet Coke button in the on the Oval Office,
Yeah.
the Resolute desk. You don't have a Romita button that makes
Ramita.
Alicia.
God, that would be so great. Yeah. No, Alicia, this is a little window into our life. You know, I was getting ready to do this, and Alicia's mom texted her and said, "I'm coming to get you for dinner." And she's like, "Well, Jacob's got this thing, like he's not going to be able to come." And so she was mad. Her mom was mad about that I was not ready at any time to, go out to dinner.
Just drop
with them.
everything and
Yeah, just drop everything. So yeah, I should have, but I didn't. So I'm here solo. Alicia will probably be walking through the door at some point. So that's just
let's call her mom. What's her number?
Yeah, that's live TV, baby. Yeah.
I can take care of this.
Yeah.
I can get you out of any jam.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I'm a little tired. I just wanted to preface that. Also, I did the same thing that pretty much probably everybody else did. I read issue 3 of Son of Satan in like 2-page chunks probably a month ago because we ended up recording stuff like with Jason Atomic. We recorded early because he's in England and blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So like I read this all chunked out, then I read it today and took notes. So I'm hoping it's not super fragmented, but just a spoiler, I had a really good time with this issue. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, agreed.
Okay, so we are talking about Son of Satan, number 3, and we're advancing the slideshow here. This is cover dated April 1976. That last Marvel team-up Marvel 2-in-1, excuse me, was March. This cover is by Gil Kane and Mike Esposito, and gotta tell you, man, I'm looking at a scan. I also have this guy here.
Mm-hmm.
And I also use for these slideshows, I used a pirated website, Screen Grabs. So I'm seeing everything. And I do really care for it's just the vividness of modern digital coloring. It takes out any nuance to me. And it's just such a bummer, especially when comparing it. I should have done a couple side-by-sides. I will do that the next time we do a live.
Sure.
So people can see kind of just the more kind of muted and subtle coloring that's around here. Like, for instance, just above Damon's head, there's like a halo of orange before the flames turn reddish orange. And here in the digital version, you're seeing orange. So yeah, there's just nuance that's gone, and it's a bummer.
No, definitely. And I've thought about that before, people that might be a little younger than us and don't have the, I don't know, that might not have read comics on newsprint. Because I feel like modern coloring, once it went to kind of, almost glossy pages in a way, that, it's very similar to the digital coloring on digital versions. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just us. But you're right. I mean, well, because this is a vintage comic and it was colored in 1970. What are we in 76? We're in April of 76. So, yeah, I mean, it's a completely different process and a completely different experience reading a, physical copy of this in 1976 with shitty newsprint and the way that the colors bleed. And that was just an experience that reading old comics that was part of it. And that was part of our childhood. So we remember that. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, information is lost that was originally intended to be there. But I wonder if, people younger than us might just be like, no, the colors are great.
Yeah, I bet you're right. If any of those younger people don't ever go, long box diving at a con or whatever, and just kind of dig up, four for a buck back issues of stuff just to read stuff, which I mean, a lot of people do. But and Glenn mentioned at the top here, this comment I'm putting up, he's saying, "What's up with the updated, but Damon in the corner box, this new thing with this odd amount of headroom," which is a good comment. This is when they switched it. I don't know why. However, I actually kind of like this one. It's weird in an off-center wabi-sabi kind of way.
It's weird, and it's obviously a different drawing altogether than the corner box that we are used to. This looks like it was swiped from a panel inside of an issue. And it's weird. It's kind of half-assed, but kind of cool in a way. It's almost like an action shot / senior portrait kind of corner box.
And I'm a YouTube guy, so since 2020, I've just been watching lots of Karen comps of videos, people freaking out with brainworms during COVID. So this just looks like a Damon sending back soup or something at a deli.
Yeah,
he's getting ready to throw it in an 18-year-old girl's face and give her second-degree burns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. I like the rage and the bluster. So yeah, on this cover, we got a great Gil Kane face of Kaiju Damon abstractly in the background. We know that internally he is possessed inside of the possessor's mind. He possesses his mind, body, and soul. You see his tiny little head on the side of the possessor. I have notes throughout this whole thing. It's just like, how is there not an action figure of the possessor, even without Damon? Just with the two little buddies, like. He's so cute, like in a Masters of the Universe way.
Yeah, would the like a Masters of the Universe, would the little buddies be removable? Like, could you take them out and like, is there a third spot?
They should
for
be
Damon?
swappable. Like you know how when you get like Captain America, like the Legends, and like you can put Cap, the Wolf Cap head on, and you know Steve Rogers head or Cap with with the mask on. It should be able to, but just like slots where you just like punch. There's like 3 holes you can just fill with different heads. That would be money. So the possessor has Damon in his head. Damon in the background is writhing in agony because he is trapped in this insane mutant. I think it was revealed he's actually a mutant, right? At least he kind of alluded to the fact that he was a mutant, essentially.
Yes.
And then it says the perilous possessor versus Satan himself for the soul of Damon Hellstrom. So Dad's woken up. You're fucked now because you woke Dad up. You know, like when you're a kid and you're playing like Dad worked late, you got to be quiet. But Dad's pissed, so they're fighting in the foreground while Damon writhes in the background, and the top banner says "The Devil and the Demon." I love this cover. Absolutely love it.
It's amazing. Yeah, this cover is so cool. I don't know. I felt like we kind of got cheated on covers the last couple ones, and they've been okay. It's been kind of spotty, but. Yeah, right as I saw this one, I was just like, "Oh shit, this is up. This might be in top 5 for the season for me. Like this is, it's great. Yeah, I love Kaiju Damon. I love everything about it. I mean, this is, I don't know, Esposito. Sometimes he can be really great with Gil Kane. We've seen him ink Gil Kane before, and sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it's great. And this is one of those where I really think he got the assignment. Like he knew what he had to do, and yeah, it's great. This is definitely one of my favorite Gil Kane covers of the series. And
I ever since Marvel by the Month, I forgot. I think it was Brian or maybe it was Rob mentioned that like with Gil Kane, you can always see people's noses for some reason.
Yeah.
Immediately, like just turn the page to this one. I was like, oh, okay, this is a Kane. I mean, I know it's a Kane, but even before I even look at the face, it's a Kane. We're looking up a nose.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
All right. Let's dive in.
Yeah, let's jump in. So, all right, the title of our story is Demon's Head. Our cast of creators are John Warner, writer, Sonny Trinidad, artist, Denise Wohl, letterer, Phil Rachelson, colorist, and Marv Wolfman, editor. So, yeah, we open on a full-page illustration of the possessor looming over a battle between his mystic forces and a horde of demons. And before we get the title Demon's Head, we have a little box that says presenting the conclusion of the Homecoming trilogy. I love it. Like this is planned out. This is multi-part. Like Warner really jumped in with issue 1.
Totally agree. We talked about this the whole run of this since he got his own book, that Warner seems to have had a very clear vision for his opening statement.
Yeah, he definitely did. And so, I want to read the opening narration. It sets the tone. It says, the son of Satan has been possessed. His thoughts and powers, his memories and realities have become expunged within the mind and body of the mysterious being known only as the possessor. Only his face remains, like some obscene trophy, a growth attached to the possessor's head. Now, with powers that match Satan's own and aided by his own following of possessed Indians, the possessor faces the legions of hell. I loved this opening page. I mean, I'm just going to jump right in. I loved this issue, and there's so much about it that I love. And I just think it starts out super strong. And Damon's expression on the side of the possessor's head really had me laughing. He's so mad, but in such a comical action figure type of way.
There is, I have loved Warner's body horror thing through this whole thing, and he really leans into it a bit later here. But yeah, this his incensed kind of like the possessor's hair is too long, so it's getting in Damon's face. You can tell he's just like, like.
Well, it's covering up his spit curls, and he's a vain man, so
yes,
he doesn't like that.
Yeah, and Jared, why is his hair not red? I don't know. That was funny too. Like he barely even looks like himself here a few times. And I did love that Warner said the man known only as the possessor, like or Raphael Zoran.
Yeah,
we extensively went into his backstory last time we met him. So,
I mean, guess what? We're gonna do it again. Every issue, we get some iteration of Raphael's origin story. But yeah.
And I'm going to have to go ahead and tip my hand here a little bit. I mentioned this, but when we had Jason Atomic on, but I'm a little obsessed with Nightfire. Like, and I'm wondering, he seems like a really fucking cool toy that someone did just put back in the box and put in the closet. And after they play with it on Christmas Day, and it's like, why are you guys have the fucking Death Star, dude? Get that toy out, play with that shit. Yeah. So a huge fan of this. I love that he's in the foreground in his goofy wrestling outfit, raising his fist in triumph. So cool. And Nightfire's in front of him, flanked between the rest of the tribe and him, like, cause he's his like second in command. Yeah. So good. We moving on?
Yeah.
Right on. So on this next page, it is just straight up melee. Baphomet is leading the charge here. And all of the tribesmen are saying, attack my followers, slay the hellspawn where they stand. And it's just absolute mayhem. They're flying around. Demons are wielding swords. Native Americans have spears and bows and arrows. There's Morningstar maces. And I love how there's like this sharks and the jets nonsense. Cause like in the next panel, like, oh yeah, well, we slay for the possessor, blah, blah. And then like, yeah, well, we slay for the one and only carnal master. Like, my dad could kick your dad's ass any day.
That's absolutely what they're saying.
Yeah, so Baphomet says, bah, you're nothing more than insensate mental zombie serving a master who controls you through blind manipulation. So he's making the distinction of you're not really a fighting force, you're just a bunch of puppets of this guy. Meanwhile, we are Satan's warrior demons. So take that and shove it up your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, man, this page, look at it. I mean, it is a cacophony of battle, and I love it. Every demon has a different design. So cool.
Oh, it's great. I mean, we wish there was more biographical information about Sonny Trinidad out there. I want to know everything about this guy, especially just 3 issues into his amazing art. And fuck, man, he's so good. He's so good in that Filipino way that you and I have gone on and on and on about how much we love it. And yeah, and I really like, I know I'm reading the digital version, but the palette that Phil Rachelson uses on this, I mean, if it's following the scan even closely, I do love the color. And the color plays a real big part in a lot of these battles because there's so many figures to color. There's demons, there's warriors, and everything is really unique.
Yeah, so that middle panel on the left-hand side, what is purplish demon,
Mm-hmm.
that so it's like Dragon Man or whatever that character is. In the printed one, on his left arm on the top half where that black shading is, the top half is actually a kind of a baby azure blue. Ooh. And below that it's more of a soft blue purple. It's much more nuanced and it's not just one solid color.
Yeah. Well, we've learned to expect that.
Yeah. I think last issue I used scanned pages. I think I'm going to alternate next time so that we can either I'm going to do some side by sides or alternate so they can see some stuff because often the scans are so light that I have to bump the contrast way up, and like that means work for me, which means whatever.
Yeah. But
I do want people to see these, especially people that, like you said, who don't have access to the print ones or the original print, because the Son of Satan Classic still has the same issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all right.
Wait, I'm sorry. Before we move on, I think Jared mentioned this, but in the bottom panel, there is a Native American man going ass over tea kettle, and we're just seeing his ass, right? I mean, that's like deerskin, whatever. and it's just flying, and we're just seeing his Franken beans.
We are seeing his Franken beans.
Okay.
So yeah, it's
Crazy.
it's amazing. Okay, so yeah, I was excited to get to this next page because
I had fucking details and I skipped them. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Slack again.
So, goddamn, as far as you were saying that you love Nightfire, like this is a page for Nightfire freaks. Like this is so fucking badass. It's just a 7-panel page of Nightfire. Yeah, being a complete badass battling Baphomet. I want to read some of this narration because it's so good. It says, Nightfire. At one time, he had been a mere Indian brave apprenticing the shaman arts of his tribe. The possessor changed all that. Mistaking the possessor for a spiritual vision, the young brave allowed him to take control and through him dominated the wills of his people. But it was not a one-way bargain, although it might well have been, for given the name Nightfire, his flesh mutated into polished scarlet stone. So yeah, I think that's important to remember. That, yeah, and I understand I don't know. I mean, Nightfire looks very cool. I understand the problem of making a Native American man an actual red man in a lot of ways, which yeah is definitely problematic. But he looks so badass, and every single panel in this page is from a different perspective. It's masterful. It's like Sonny Trinidad really fucking worked on this page, and it shows because this is like a giant needle drop. You know, when you get to this, you're like, holy fuck, like Nightfire is doing all this stuff. Every panel is great. Yeah, so he's fighting Baphomet. And I like that at the bottom, Baphomet says, your power is great, mindless one, but is it great enough to withstand the very fires of hell itself? I suspect that you, a mere servant, are of more worth than your master. Indeed, you might have been swayed to Satan's path. And yeah, Nightfire replies, save your blasphemous pity, demon. You have done your worst, yet I still stand. And yeah, that last panel too. God, I don't know. I spent so much time that the 2 or 3 times that I read this issue, I just lingered on this page. And it was just, yeah, you're right. This should be, like the little mini comic that comes with the Nightfire action figure.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and there's something, I don't know what it is. Like, it's same thing with Mr. Miracle. And like, I know Red Tornado is not exactly the same, but that red, yellow, and green just like makes my eyes just like my brain just vibrate, and I can't not look at it. It's so fucking cool. And man, we get to see his trunk too in that last one. If you're someone that likes to ship Nightfire, you're gonna be shipping the hell out of this character because his ass, he's putting it all on display.
He is.
But yeah, I mean, and I couldn't tell Jacob, if that comment here that you were reading about his flesh mutated into polished scarlet stone, I was wondering if the possessor's possession of him literally changed him, because I think when we saw him in issue 2, it said like he had like red paint on him and his skin was strong and blah blah blah. And it's like it seems like now he's actually fully changed, like physically altered.
Yeah, I really wanted to. I should have gone back and done like a good study, but I think the stone thing is new, or at least not new, but I think his skin and the way that he transformed is explained better in this issue than it was before.
Okay. So yeah, the next page, I didn't break this one down because it's such a cool design.
Yeah.
Like these angled lines are like slashes going, and so we get a very strange little exchange here. There's Damon again in the back of the possessor's head, and there's another note for me that just says in my own notes, how the fuck is this not an action figure? But Damon's thinking, I'm trapped, yet I still, I feel I'm still capable. I have power. I'm capable of thought. So it's like hell. Anytime where you're like actually are trapped, it's like Metallica 1 or whatever. Johnny got his gun or some shit. It's just like I can't move or do anything, but I'm still completely here. And I love the second panel where it almost looks like the possessor is trying to look at all of his heads at once, different ways.
He is.
So like not cross-eyed, whatever the opposite of cross-eyed is.
Wall-eyed?
Wall-eyed, yeah. And my only beef here would be with I guess is it who did the lettering?
Oh, that was someone new that I wasn't as familiar with. That was Denise Wohl.
Oh, Wohl. Like I feel like this is an opportunity missed when you have 4 people inhabiting one brain. You need to do something as a letterer or a a thought balloon person to differentiate between them, because
Yes.
I actually had to read this a couple times and chunk out. Oh, okay, that first one's Damon, and then the possessor stepping in and saying, "You idiot! I'm in here with you, and I read every thought. You are in my mind. Like
Yeah.
you're not having a private interior conversation." But Damon's trying to reach out to his trident, and it seems like the possessor grabs it and is just like doing some telekinetic stuff with it and zipping it around. And he's just kind of saying, "I'm just playing with it at this point. Like, you thought you were gonna use it to, fly in and pierce my chest and free yourself or whatever you're gonna do, but you can't, because I'm in charge here. I'm the daddy of this house." He's saying, "I amuse myself with it. I toy with you, you simpleton." And he zaps it, and it goes the trident, and it goes flying. And Damon's like, "You knew?
Yeah.
You the whole time?" Yeah, so Damon starts struggling here in the last couple panels and mind farting. Like, there's like these wreaths of black smoke, and he's like going, "Ugh!" He's like, "Ah, I will summon the dark soul," which we come to find out is his father's half of himself, his true evil self, his inhuman side. And but that was kind of a strange way to depict that. I don't know if I'd ever seen little storm clouds forming when his evil self gets out. Have you?
No, it was weird. I almost took it to be like almost like ectoplasm in a way, or it's strange. I'm not quite sure it works 100%, but it didn't pull me out.
Yeah, what pulled me out more than anything was like something getting slapped on here, like Dark Soul. Like, it got mentioned once without being specifically told what it was in the last Warner issue. And being able to kind of like single it out and harness it and use it seems almost like a new power. So,
got to drink to that new power.
So yeah, I like the page. I thought that again, it just could have been. It's like when they were toying with the idea of republishing The Sound and the Fury and having different color font for different time periods.
Okay.
And actually, that was Faulkner's idea. That was not someone trying to add that in. Faulkner's original thing was, can we have like 1920, be red, and can we have whatever 1918 or 1908 be blue? But they said it's too expensive.
That would be, I mean, I love that book. I've read it many times. And yeah, I mean, it is kind of nice to have a little annotation sometime, just to kind of, at least see. But that's cool that Faulkner actually meant to do that. That's nice. I didn't know that before.
And it's interesting that the opaqueness of it and the some of the difficulty of reading it was not necessarily part of the intended experience. That was part of the nature of the printing process at the time. The author actually would have liked to have removed some of those barriers and gone straight to the character voices and had the time, sussing out what the time period was in the family, not be part of it.
Yeah. Interesting.
I love that book too. I'm going to read it again now that we've talked about it.
All right, let's move on to the next page. So the possessor says, "Rage all you will, Satan whelp." I had to read that just so we could get Satan whelp, because that's funny every time. "You merely provided me willingly the power I would leech as the vampire drinks blood." It's a little clunky, but it's still okay. Yeah. And then I love, he says, "Behold," which always makes me laugh. Then he shoots his laser eye beams, and then there's this whole thing. There's this narration that's pretty cool. His beams kind of go all over the place. He talks about how power is relative and can lash out at friend and foe alike. And we see his beams kind of circle through the battle, killing both warrior and demon. And the possessor goes on to say, "And now, manipulating the power you yourself have provided me, inevitable though the taking of it might have been, I send the energies of your dark soul, concentrated and refined into 2 narrow beams." And so he basically is sending this down this cavern he says, "Until at last these beams, they fade into the darkness of a yawning, seeming bottomless cavern, and they fade and disappear completely." And his villain turn voice at the end here has got to be amazing, to where he's like, "You know which cavern those beams were sent to, violating its darkness, don't you, son of Satan?" And you know where those destruct beams were sent, eh?
Destruct beams.
Destruct beams. Oh, I have that underlined. Love it. Fucking love it. Yeah, I mean, we'll get to it, but God, I don't know. I mean, he's always been a villain, and we've laughed at him and thought he was cool for the 2 issues before this. But his supreme villain turn in this is actually pretty fucking impressive for a mortal, for just a sideshow fucking carnival magician to have accomplished what he accomplishes in this issue is very impressive.
Totally agree. I this page as a whole, though, I wasn't sure if I loved it. I did like that he had to twist that little needle of like you were too inept and cowardly or whatever to actually do this, but I did easily once I have your power at my disposal. So yeah, I mean, we realized pretty fast. I think I did the first read through like what this is doing. It's like when you yell "Dad."
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Waking Daddy up. Cool. So let's move on then. So on the next page, we get to see where that went. It went to hell through that cavern. Remember, this is one of the sacred spots on Earth where the veil is thinnest between the infernal realm and our world. And so he says it went to hell. And then we see this big sprakow as these demons and the warriors are all just going flying around willy-nilly. And there's some really great like glowering from him, like you were saying, his villain turn here. Like he's just looking up and he says, "The true gauntlet is hurled at last." So this is his whole plan. This is coming to fruition. We come to find out at the end of this trilogy thing here that this whole thing was completely orchestrated. Like even the big guy, the big red guy, is like, "Oh, you got me, you carnies!" Yeah. Like you were ahead of the father of all lies. So he explains, "Yeah, you're being drained, your second self withdrawn. It's just as well because I was overzealous, perhaps, in my demonstration." And then we get to see down to where this thing happened. The beams went. And he says, "But it suits my sense of flamboyance. Too many suffer from a tendency to suppress the quirks of their egos. You suffer such disease, else good and evil would be as relative as power with you." So he's still lecturing Damon about, you have all this ability here at your hands, and you're just being hamstrung by your morality and your cowardice to use it. And then we see a voice come out of the caverns where the beams went, and it says, "He presumes much, this possessor. I entertain notions that he might destroy my son before I challenged him." And sure enough, it is Satan coming out of the shadows. Love that second panel where he's still like crosshatched in shade as he's just coming out of the darkness. He should be wearing a bathrobe and having I Hate Mondays coffee mug in his hand. And he says, "But I will not see Damon a defeated prisoner at the hands of one who also turns his powers against me."
Yeah, Yeah, sorry, Matt. You're getting almost too distorted to hear. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Is mine crackling? Anyone who's listening? I'm talking now. Oh, go on, Matt. You say something first.
I just said let us know, please.
Okay, now I'm going to talk. All right. Is my audio crackling? Okay.
Just me. Well, somebody let me know if it clears up. Otherwise, I'm going to switch out mics.
Yeah, it's still it's bad enough to probably switch out mics.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, no problem. I know
do you want to move on to the next page?
Yeah. I'll move on to the next page. So on this next page, like I thought this was hilarious because once again the possessor shows Damon his origin story. I mean, I know Damon is, trapped in the possessor's psyche and literally on the side of his face, but Damon has to be getting kind of tired of this, I would think. Like, I was also thinking, has Damon ever like physically heard the story with his ears, or has he just had the possessor like shove the memories into his cerebral cortex like every single time? It's pretty bonkers, but thankfully it's kind of more condensed than last issue. It's kind of just confined to one large panel instead of, goddamn, I think in the first issue we got, it was literally like 6 pages. I thought like it was way longer than anyone should have ever spent on the, I don't know. I guess that's wrong to say. His origin story was pretty cool. And it was neat that we got this super extended origin story for someone that we're never going to see again, which is so strange. Yeah. So, but then we get, oddly enough, we get the next chapter of the origin after this, which I thought was really cool. So finally, we see what happens after he left the carnival. So he says, finally, at long last, on that one dark night, I let my father die in agony. And then it says, now, son of Satan, observe new images, a place not far from here, a purple, dusty place that knew peace at one time. But that was before the stranger came among them. This got very like Cormac McCarthy, like that like Blood Meridian vibes.
Judge Holden.
To me, yeah. Yeah, like a lot of the stuff that he talks about in this, and a lot of his dialogue in this is very Judge Holden in a way. Like, his confidence level is just through the roof at this point. He's like, oh yeah, this is going well. Like all my plan is actually working.
Why wouldn't it? I mean, has he ever since I killed Dad, everything's been great.
Yeah.
By the way, is the audio improved at all by the mic?
Yeah, it's not crackling anymore. It's a little low, but yeah, we're not getting any crackle anymore, which is great.
How about now? How's that volume?
It's about the same, but I mean that will totally work on the fly. Absolutely.
Okay.
Here, I'm gonna plug in my computer. We're just gonna.
I forgot this mic tends to be a little low. Let me crank it. Oh, it says internal mic. I don't want that.
Oh yeah, you don't want that. Well, you don't want that.
Here.
That's probably what it is.
I just switched over to the
proper. Oh shit! There you are. That sounds great.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah, perfect enough for you to jump to the next page.
Right on. Before we move on though, I was really happy to see that montage again. That was again, like you were saying, a revisit to the previous thing. I love that middle thing where he's holding the balls, and I know it's completely juvenile, but I really want to hear the story of the balls, because you and I thought that was a source of power, and then we come to find out, nope, it was just part of his carnival show. It was just like a distraction, like a thing, sleight of hand thing. But I mean, look at him, like he's got.
Oh, I know
his face is like blown out by the light reflecting off of them, and then there's like these super like charcoal like mascara around his dark evil eyes, and his pupils are just pinpoints. God,
it could have been so cool. And yeah, if this character had showed up again, I mean, I don't know. I think this character had limitless potential, but alas.
Yeah, I can't believe. I'm pretty sure he's a mutant, and I can't believe he didn't show up in an X book, like somewhere, just like whatever the Jed McKay is of the X books, like just pulling out like remember this guy?
Well, I mean, it's Jonathan Hickman. Like, why couldn't Raphael Zoran be like in the background, like going through one of the gates of Krakoa or something, just to the mutant Haven Island? But no,
I don't know X books at all, but like Hellfire Club, just like, I don't know. Didn't he be in the Hellfire Club?
Oh yeah, he looks like he's in the fucking Hellfire Club. Do you see him lounging on like this green beanbag chair with a super hot lady on his arm? Oh my god, yeah, amazing. Yeah, he could have been the Black King.
And that last panel on that page, like we were saying, where we see Zoran walking into this town, these very simple. I don't mean that in any kind of judgmental way, but like these folks that live in this small little town, just eking out an existence, and this guy comes in wearing a wrestling suit with a giant cape on, and he looks like he should have some Ennio Morricone like whistling like spaghetti western music, like with a trumpet. Like,
yeah, he does. His cape looks so oversized, even though he said the drawing of him is very tiny. But his cape is just like flowing back like 12 feet. It looks like so cool.
I love it. Okay, so the next page, this continues, and he apparently just walks right through that town, trudges through, and he is going to a very specific rundown little house, and he is looking for that the shaman that we saw in Son of Satan #1 and his young protege, And so we basically get a fleshed out version of what we saw at the very end of issue 1, which was when the new shaman was going on his vision quest and seeking his spirit guide, and it's revealed to be him. We're seeing that there was a little bit of a backstory we didn't get, where he approaches the shaman and says, I want to learn all your ways of power. Show me your gifts. And the shaman is a wise, you're a shaman, you're a wise man. So he's like, yeah, so what are you going to give to the earth with these gifts I'm going to give you? And I love this panel. I mean, this is like pure cartooning, right? The foreground is just a clenched fist of like, don't get in the way of my power trip. He's like, I owe the world nothing save pain and humiliation, the same they have visited upon your people. Nice little note from Warner.
Okay, gotcha.
Social justice thing.
That's good.
And then the shaman's given back as good as he gets. He says, you know nothing of my people, Dark One, for you cannot see past your own evil. Go, your audience has ended. And I love this panel of him like just looking all in shadow because he has to hide his freakish head. And he's like, this one, he is your apprentice. You will teach him. And then he grabs the kid by the hair. He's like, yes, teach this one, shaman. Teach him all you know, for I shall one day seize that knowledge from him. This is my master secret plan. And he's like, I shall corrupt him. And, so much, I will corrupt him so much so that his descendants will be tainted. Mm-hmm. I love that. And then he throws the kid on the ground as he's leaving. He's like, yeah, and then when you've learned all I desire, I'll come back and I'll get that info. Bye.
Oh my God.
So good.
Yeah, this is a great page. And you're right. It kind of just gave us more of that story that we just got in one panel. I think that's the end of issue 1, right? Is what we got. Well, just that last page of issue 1. Yeah.
But I really like the way Warner is breaking the story apart and feeding it to us in this really kind of unconventional way for 70s comic book for kids.
It really is. I mean, you're right. I mean, unconventional is the perfect word for it, and it's very, very cool. Like, yeah, just as impressed as you are. So I loved that page, and then I went to the next page. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like the art in this issue just keeps ramping up, and this page is fucking incredible. So it's like a full page of Raphael's spiritual odyssey across the globe. He's seeing swamis and fortune tellers, and he's seeing like the Watcher's creepy cousin for some reason is what that looked like to me. And oh my God. Yeah. So he's doing all this stuff. He's talking about how, he went all these different places. Yeah. Everyone I turned to rejected me out of fear. But he's like, I would not be denied my need. And so, so he's not getting answers from any of these holy men. So he goes and he says, so I began to study on my own, consulting rare and ancient tomes I had managed to procure in my travels. He has ancient tomes.
Yeah, I'm drinking to that.
Just like Damon. Oh, fuck.
He's the anti-Damon.
He is the anti-Damon. So
he's perfect nemesis.
As I was reading this, like at this point, I was just like, mental note. I just want, I want eventually, like, maybe a couple Christmases down the road or something. I just want someone to take every panel from a Marvel comic, from like the beginning of Marvel's history. Anytime someone is studying like ancient and mystical tomes, and just chronologically just lay them out like a comic book. So I can just flip through that comic book and just see everyone just consulting their ancient books. Because Matt, you and I have not been shy about, stating that anytime anyone talks about ancient tomes, just how much time Damon has spent just poring over them, it's better than a fight scene. I think for both of us, we love it. Like it's just, it tickles us endlessly. So yeah, that's what I want. So yeah, maybe for Christmas, Matt.
Okay.
Just try and make that happen.
What format would this be?
Yeah. I think paper, maybe leather bound, maybe like a leather cover with newsprint. Are you
doing a custom binding job of just the excerpts?
Yes. I would think so. So yeah, who should I'm sure can help you with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So,
wait, hold on before you move on though.
Okay.
To the last part of this page. Can you talk about what's going on where that tome box is? Because it looks
that's
like
what I was going to ask.
Line. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going immediately to after that, because yeah, it seems like he exactly like he consulted these ancient tomes and figured out that he can turn a lion into stone.
Oh, you think he okay.
Yeah. I think that's that. So what do you think that panel is?
I daren't. I didn't think. I didn't know. I didn't even know what the fuck to. I was just like, I know he's doing something. I remembered before that they created the illusion of a leopard or panther and a woman switching body parts. I was like,
Yeah.
So he's supposed to be advancing, right?
He's advancing, and so yeah, he let's just say that that's the way he advances. He turns a lion into stone. We see him practicing his laser blasts. He says they were enough to show me how best to use my powers, but I wanted more, much more. And then that final bit of the page, first we see him kind of looming over a casket with a dead body in it. He says, I tried to master the black arts without instruction. My own attempt backfired. My mind became a raging hallucinogenic torrent. What a great sentence. And so, yeah, I just, those last two panels just sealed the deal for me on this page, which is filled with great art. But yeah, he's super looming over this casket. You know, he's got a tome in one hand and his fist, you know, enraged towards the sky. And then, yeah, at the final panel, it says, indeed, for that brief flow of time, I was quite mad. And it looks like he's literally like pulling on his skin and stretching the skin of his face.
Yeah.
As he's just like screaming, just filled with madness. This page is so badass.
Dude,
I mean,
Sonny Trinidad, are you kidding me?
Holy shit. Like this guy just got, I mean, this is a serious level up. I mean, I don't know if I don't want this as a black light poster. I want this page. I want this original art page. If it's out there, Matt, it can't be that much. I'm just saying.
I'm just trying to think like how shitty was Marvel in 1976? Like would they ask like if someone in the Philippines said I'd like the original art back please when you're done, would they charge them? Like is it to the point where it's just kind of like, well fuck it, never mind, it's not worth it. Like, you know what I mean? Like did Marvel just shred them because like people are like, well, I'm not doing international shipping to get my work back?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I don't know. They held on to stuff so like miserly, even though, you know, you're reading like a lot of the Marvel history books and it's basically like they stored all this amazing Jack Kirby art in some leaky fucking broom closet.
Right.
You know, just like stacked on top of each other, everything like bleeding. So,
like
yeah,
Iranian war plans in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, exactly. But if this page exists, it can't be. I would be shocked if it was. I mean, it's definitely under $1,000. I wouldn't be shocked if it was somewhere on sale for $500.
Yeah. I think it's more likely that it doesn't exist, but
it's more likely it doesn't exist. But like you and I have talked about endlessly, the Filipinos are not appreciated and they eventually will be. And all this shit is going to be astronomically expensive once, you know, racist Western fucks figure out that the Filipinos are actually the greatest artists of the 70s and should be treated as such.
So someone mentioned that, Bill mentioned that was like kind of Dr. Druid. That kind of
totally.
I love the Possessor in that exchange where he's almost entirely in shadow. It's just his eyes glowing and his hand on his resting his chin on his hand. That's so fucking cool. And this little sequence that Sonny did in the bottom here is the coolest goddamn progression of someone going from parlor tricks to, you know, whatever, to absolute like blackest of magic. Like we mentioned like in issue 2 he did illusions. Now he's probably turning like a living thing into stone, and then he's like practicing some type of like taromancy, whatever the hell that would be, and then he's just like fuck it, I'm doing necromancy. I don't give a shit. I'm bringing the dead back to life. I'm God now, which failed. And then down that path is madness. And then it's a perfect depiction of the path in 4 little panels of like this guy's journey to insanity.
Jesus, it's so good. This is my favorite page of the issue, obviously, and maybe one of my favorite pages of the whole season.
Yeah. And I would pay $1,050 for that page.
Yeah.
So,
well, there you go. You get it. Oh my God, Michelle!
Hey, Michelle.
Hey, we have to say hi because we miss you. Everybody, Michelle is here, who is everyone's our favorite, of course, but Michelle has been one of our favorites for so long, and we miss you, Michelle. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, Michelle, thanks. Oh, you know what, Bill? That's a good point. He might be actually trying to turn a stone lion like outside of a library into a live thing like Ghostbusters or something, you know?
That would be awesome. You're right.
That would be amazing. Yeah, so he's gone fully mad. And then I got to tell you, man, I kind of flipped my wig here when we went full circle on this next page. So all of this backstory, we've got parts of this backstory of 2 issues. And then he says, and then I was absolutely out of my mind. I was mad. I have no idea what was going on. And then I found myself in Massachusetts, crawling around the mud like a fucking animal. And he says, my head's throbbing, my body's racked with pain, and I'm a few feet away from a car.
A car
I had never seen before. A fucking car.
Every time.
The car, dude. The car is... That's the rosebud of this whole fucking thing.
It really is. And it's still not fully explained.
No.
But it's always there. It's like this mystical object that ties everything together.
So he pulls himself up to his feet. He staggers weak. His powers are almost gone. He's like wobbly walking, and he goes and he finds this mansion, this sprawling mansion. He enters. It is fully furnished, but empty. And he says, that was your house, Damon. You were conveniently in St. Louis. And so I made myself at home. And we see him sitting in the library having a glass of something. And, he says he rested, he nurtured himself and his demons, because his demons were pretty much drained of power as well. And so he's there, and he felt there were doors of power to be unlocked in this house. He can feel it going on. And so he starts reading with this panel of him like fervently reading Damon's mom's diary. Yeah. And he's like, that's when I discovered there was a literal doorway to hell. And so he determined that he would reach out with his mind and until Damon returned. And, he would size up his abilities, whatever. And so we get this nice panel of him kind of holding the leather-bound diary and thinking. He's like, I will possess you, use those powers of Satan, and then I will be the Lord of Hell because you have your father's power. And if I get it, I can beat your father and be your father. And so if we thought his madness was temporary, it is not. He never came back. He is fucking insane. On this show, we drink for Twin Peaks references. I texted you when I read this page, like, oh my God, he's Wyndham Earl. He's the anti-Agent Cooper. He is the evil inverse of Agent Cooper, who discovers the doorway to the Black Lodges and this boundless power that is available and thinks not we should protect evil, stop evil from coming out of it or whatever. He wants to go in there and seize the evil and control everything with it. Like, he's fucking Wyndham Earl. It's amazing. I love it. So I'm drinking Twin Peaks.
Yeah, I'm drinking of that. And by the way, in the comments section, I mean, guys, we got to make this. I mean, Jason said, Bill had said we needed a limited series about the car. Jason said "Son of Sedan," which, oh my God, that's one of the funniest things I've ever heard. Jason, you're a comic artist. You know people. You need to make this happen. This needs to be fanfic. And we will. I'll do whatever I can to fund this.
Okay, that's really funny.
It's so good.
By the 7 cylinders, yes.
Yeah,
and the Holden chimes.
Yeah, Eric says by the 7 cylinders of the Holden chimes, stay chrome automobile ones.
Oh my God, you guys are killing me.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you, I was in a shitty fucking mood, man. I feel like the dude. Like, man, I was in a shitty fucking mood, man. This issue and talking to you guys right now just totally made me in a good mood. I was really grumpy today.
It does every time though, Matt. Every single time we end up saying that this is why we do it. Well, also, for the tons of millions of dollars we make doing this, of course, is why we do it. But also just to I don't know, puts me in a great mood every time. I've been looking forward to this. I've had a very busy kind of rough couple of days, and I was like, nope, I knew it. I was just like, nope, this is going to help me, and of course it has every single time. Before we move on to the next page, I agree with everything you just said, and love all you guys. Thank you for being here. I just want to say,
I lay a few feet from a car I had never seen before. Is Warner still alive? Can we interview him and say, dude, give me the dope.
God.
What's up? Like, did you get a divorce and your wife got the car? Like, what was going on?
Right? Can we get John Warner? Can we interview him and then just be like, first off, the car? Like, just jump into the most esoteric, specific interview. And this guy's probably done tons of other shit. And he's like, really? The car from the first 3 issues of Son of Satan? We're like, yeah, dude, absolutely the car. Yeah.
Because it is like a Lynchian symbol where it's like every time it's addressed, it means something or has some different import or no import at all. Like when it first showed up, we were like, you know, it was like car, you know, like the punctuation changed around it. And then we're like, oh, it must have been, we even said, I think we postulated in with the Jason Atomic thing. We're like, oh, I bet it means he thought his dad fucked his house up. He confronted his father. His father's like, I wouldn't do that. And he's like, and we're like, oh, it means it was a human. It was a terrestrial thing. It was a human being that did this thing.
Yeah, we thought that, but no.
Now Raphael's like, that's not my car. I never seen that car before in my life.
Whose car is it?
If this doesn't get addressed by the end of issue 8, I might have to check myself in for a little bit of a quiet time in Serenity Lane.
Yeah, well, I'm tracking down John Warner tonight.
Trembling Hills.
Yeah, Trembling Hills.
Okay, are we ready for the next page?
Yeah, we're ready for the next page. So
I love the art on that page, by the way. Just the moodiness of that whole thing, like
it's
that.
Great.
You know, I mean, it's a gothic mansion, so of course it's fucking amazing. But like, just him like dragging himself through the mud and like coming out of this haze of utter insanity, and just like waking up like Memento, and like, all right, where am I now? And like, you know, and it's like Casablanca, like of all the Victorian mansions and all the towns in all the world, he walked into mine.
Oh God,
what are the odds?
What are the odds? So on the next page, so I have to read the opening narration says that the visions blur, then Damon's eyes fix on reality. So this is all sorts of layers of insanity. So yeah, Damon. So okay, no, Damon can still see through his eyes on the back of Raphael's head, but Raphael has been just like downloading these memories to him that he can see through his eyes, right? Is that what you're getting? I had to really think about this one.
What I think this means is that the visions of the past that he was forced on him by the possessor are starting to blur, and now he's seeing out of someone else's eyes. He's now seeing out of Nightfire's eyes, because everyone that is possessed by Raphael, the membrane between their input, their data is just starting to blur. So Damon's self is being lost. He's being assimilated into the possessor. So he's probably experiencing emotions that the demons have, and he's seeing through Nightfire's eyes, and it's all just kind of blurring, and it's becoming too much. He's being overwhelmed by information now and losing himself.
I love that. Yeah, I love that even more. Yeah, so he sees Nightfire and Baphomet still fighting, though. I mean, I would like to imagine that this whole vision happened in like a millisecond. Like,
I'm sure it did.
Before it happened, like Nightfire was still like in the air, ready to get Baphomet. And then suddenly he's back, and Nightfire's still in the air and just about to land the punch. And then he lunges for the trident. So that's what I got. That this was just like a nanosecond.
Yeah, it's like the power punch in the last episode of Lost that Jack was doing, you know, like where he's just coming down, and the entire season finale or series finale happens like in one split second while he's landing a punch. Totally. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, that's what I got. And I loved it. Yeah, I really, really loved it. So yeah, Nightfire is going for the trident, and Nightfire says, "The trident, you are a fool, Baphomet. Nightfire will turn the victory this day." He hadn't been referring to himself in the third person before this, I don't think. But
no,
right?
He lost some IQ points, I think, between issues.
A little bit. Well, yeah, because Baphomet was calling him mindless earlier, but he was, you know, fairly coherent and had plans and stuff. But yeah, you're right. He did have hopes and dreams. So he says, "For with this instrument I shall unleash all the forces of hell in the name of," and then there's this explosion that happens. He's like, "Ah!" And then the narration says there is a single flash, blinding, and when it is over, Nightfire says, "My head, my eyes burn on fire." It's like, yes, I understand now. I love Baphomet. So first of all, I love that bottom panel.
Oh, God.
Where we're looking through Baphomet's legs.
So badass.
And oh my God, it's so cool. And Baphomet is saying, like, I have no idea what you were babbling about, human, but it's time we ended this farce. Then Nightfire says, "You are correct, oh slime from the gutters of hell that presumes to foul the earth." The Baphomet's like, "Your voice," Nightfire says, "has changed, Baphomet, as have I. I am no longer a mindless warrior with no will of his own." I thought this, now the whole turn that Nightfire takes for the rest of this issue is so cool and weird and completely unnecessary, unless this was going to be unless these characters, unless the Possessor, Nightfire, all these characters would have a long history in the Marvel Universe, which
Warner
they do
planted
not.
the seed an issue ago. Like this is intentional. This doesn't feel like I didn't see this coming at all when this came. I was like, holy shit. And this to me feels like this is also someone's origin story.
It 100% is. We are watching it.
Cool fucking character's origin story that we're never going to see again.
Seriously. And again, Hickman's a big guy. I don't know if he's really going to be bringing back solid characters. I mean, Jed McKay is writing the Avengers now, so he's not small time anymore, but goddamn, Jed McKay, bring back fucking the Possessor and Nightfire. That's all I'm saying.
Goddamn. I mean, this is, like you were saying, like we're not ignorant to the fact that this is kind of fraught with issues, like with a Native American character having literally red skin, but he's also like he's like the Native American Luke Cage, dude.
Yes.
Like, he's owning his redness or whatever, right?
Yeah.
He's taking it back. It's his now. Just like how Luke Cage was, imprisoned and blah blah, and like, but he has impenetrable skin. Like, these are taking things that society does to them and that European and Western civilization has done to them and making them strengths. Like, it's fucking badass.
It's so badass.
Use it, you slobs.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the next page, there's this giant energy, these tendrils of crackling energy that go shooting out, and it says the battle 2 has changed, and Baphomet gets wrapped up by these tendrils of fire that Nightfire has seemingly coming out of. Like, Nightfire's eyes glow with this like crackling electricity, which is so fucking cool, like Firestorm or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they grab Baphomet and he's like, "What are these? Bands of energy? They hold me in their grasp. But do you truly imagine I can't break free?" And then he says, "You won't get the chance, demon." And then this earthen hand, he is so fucking powerful now. He can make Earth. He control Earth like Geoforce or some shit from like the Outsiders, and he makes this giant earthen hand come up and grab Baphomet while he's being held by electricity. So he has multiple elemental powers, and it grabs him. And I want to know, what the fuck is that symbol on the back of his hand? It's like a deconstructed Ankh.
Yeah,
it's a T with a circle above it. So is that like, an Ankh is Egyptian symbol for life? Is that some weird, like, same thing with like the golem, like we add one character and you remove a character, and it's like whatever, I forgot what the Hebrew is, but like, I mean, it's just like, what the fuck, man? Trinidad just going bananas. But it says suddenly Baphomet's form sags and goes limp. The strange hand loosens, or form of the earth, it loosens its grasp, and then we get to see Possessor up there standing over above him in this beautiful foreground shot of Nightfire looking up at him. And Possessor says, "I don't know why or how you've turned on me, but it is hardly important. You're irrelevant, as are these others, and I tire of my game." So he's just basically saying, like, the tribe, you, all this puppet stuff, this was all just shit I was doing to amuse myself in the moment. I could have done this all myself. So he says, away with all of you. And all the demons start scurrying, and there's some cute little demons in the foreground going, as they run off. He says, "I must prepare for the main event, if you'll pardon my carny background showing through." Love that.
How cool was that?
All this demonic shit, all this magic, all this whatever. In the end, I am merely a fucking madman wielding his power with a flair for theatrics. That's all this has been this entire time. Fucking love it.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I had the same thought that you did. I love the deconstructed Ankh, and also I think that if this was not a code approved comic, like especially so in that panel where the earthen hand comes up and grabs Baphomet, and he's still being held by the electrical charge, in a non code approved comic, he would have been torn in half right there.
Yes, totally.
Like, that's what I was just like, oh my God, are they going to do that? And I'm like, oh no, they're not. But yeah, he should have just been rent asunder.
Yes. And they should be able to, because it should be the same thing as like with Cathara in that Marvel 2-in-1. This Baphomet is not a human.
No.
Like, you can tear his form apart. There'll be blood and intestines, everything, whatever. He's just going to reform in hell. Like,
yeah.
You know,
he's just going to respawn.
Yeah. He's a demon. He should. You're right. That would have been way cooler. But here it seemed like he just essentially broke his back or something. Like, he squeezes him so hard that he just goes limp.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Every fucking page of this comic just gets me more and more excited and it just into this story. Before we move on, yeah, that demon kind of melting in pain at the bottom of the page. It's like, oh no. Yeah.
Devil's rain.
Devil's rain. Oh my God.
Soon.
You're right.
Too
Too soon. So yeah, on the next page, the possessor, you know, he screams. And he says, "And my revenge, son of Satan, for Nightfire was the apprentice of the first shaman who rejected me. The others were his tribe, who I also chose to condemn to eternal damnation. And yes, I killed the shaman, as I promised." So he's just letting us, you know, he's just finishing the story right there.
It's like a job interview.
It is.
I'm a follow-througher.
Yeah.
If I say I'm going to kill a shaman, I will come back and kill that shaman.
I'm going to kill that shaman, and I'm going to enslave the entire, you know, little town, tiny tribe, and make them my warriors.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. His whole little aside, I almost want to say that he's screaming this first speech, and then at the end he's like, "And yes, I killed the shaman as I promised." You know, just that's his aside at the end.
I did flip back. I didn't trust Marv. I was like, did he?
Did he?
He did.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the second to the last panel of that first issue.
You should never trust Marv. Yeah. So next panel, he says, "But hold, Satan whelp, the final act begins." Narration's like, "A pillar of flame jets upward, yet the sky seems only to blacken." So, so the sky turns black. The narration reads, "Wind churns in and out amongst the canyons, whispers of omens of evil. The rocks stand naked and vulnerable against the wind, seeming stripped of all life. And then from out of the heart of the flames," and it's like, oh shit, Satan's here. He reads, "I too tire of this game, mortal, who would presume godhood. No more do you face sniveling demons. You face Satan, the master, prince of hell, lord of darkness. You face your doom." So is this like, this starts it. I mean, the possessor kind of wins a little bit for a while, but this is like Bob showing up in the Black Lodge, and Wyndham Earle's there, and then Bob's like, "Oh, you poor fucker." And he's holding him with the fire coming out from behind him. So yeah, there's a lot of I'm drinking again to that because there's the Twin Peaks allusions here are strong.
You can't ask for his soul.
Exactly. So in the final panel, Possessor says, Master, at last you've come. You'll free us. I knew you'd come." That's the little demon on the side of his face is saying that.
He's all excited too, like, all,
I know. He's like, yay! Possessor says, "You find your voice again, demon, but I must say I was afraid Satan wouldn't come. I never dreamed he'd truly make my victory so easy for me, even though this is what I had planned." So yeah, he still thinks he's on top, and he is right now. Like, his plan is still going through, as we'll see on the next page.
Yeah, art-wise, I thought this was solid. I was a little confused by that panel you read with the nice kind of purple prose, like the wind churns in and out, and I was not quite sure what the function of that was visually, but it was a nice bit of narration.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't really. The narration was so cool. The prose was so good. I didn't really pay attention to how kind of like non-existent that panel is. Well, non-existence.
Then it worked. Non-existence.
Non-existence.
Yes. So the next page, he's called for Satan. Satan's here. And he says, "Silence! I entertain notions of letting you destroy that half-breed worm whom I had the misfortune of siring." Wow. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
But he says, basically, I'm not going to let him be the captive of someone more repulsive, someone who's less than. So basically, if you'd killed my son, I would have been fine with it, but you're kind of a loser, so I'm going to let you kill my son. I'm going to kill my son. That's my job. And you're not going to take his power and use it against me. Yeah, thanks, Dad. Right, Bill? And so Possessor says, "Ha ha ha, but you have seen it. You have seen all, yet you still walk into my trap. You are defeated as you stand." So again, I was saying this whole thing was just a big machination. Like he planned all of this out. All of these moves were planned in advance. And then we get this nice sprack as there's an energy burst and the form of the Possessor is just gone. And there's this explosion of energy. And in a split second, we cut back to the car.
There it is.
We cut back to a car near Fire Lake in New England. It explodes as it was always meant to, as does Damon's mansion. The same Fire Lake that is Damon Hellstrom's home. His mansion explodes and falls in on itself, or perhaps was, says the narration. And Satan says, "Blast! I see it now. I understand at last this plan this braggart conceived. He lured me to earth to weaken me." So yeah, he just got played pretty fucking hard. Like, and I would think the devil's kind of hard to trick. I mean, you know, in the devil and Daniel Webster or whatever, it's not. But I mean, like in real, like playing with the stuff. Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't do that.
No, you don't.
But he's winning.
He is winning. At the beginning of this page, or at the end of this page, I was just like, "Holy fuck, he might win!" like this is going really well for him. No,
what did you think of his plan at this point in your reading? If you recall where you were mentally and emotionally, like, what is? I know he's mad, but like, what is the draw? Like, to be the Lord of Hell, like, does that have a lot of advantages?
Well, I think that is. I mean, we'll see. That's how it kind of. That's philosophically, I love how that's his master plan. I think is to sit on Satan's throne, which we see him do. Yeah. So he that is his master plan, and I don't really think, much like Wyndham Earle, I don't really think he thought much past that.
It's just power mad.
He just wants the most power. He wants to possess it, and then he's like, I don't know what's going to happen after that, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And yeah. Let's see. But I mean, first, so the car there. I mean, we can't forget this.
All right, I'm drinking to the car.
I think we should drink to the car all the time now. Actually, the car's in my mind forever.
The car is also like the dude's car.
Yes.
Well, they did it, man. They killed my fucking car.
Killed my fucking car. It's true. Oh, so next page. Satan continues his speech. He says, what was the last thing he says was he lured me to earth to weaken me, while he transports himself to hell through the gateway I created at Fire Lake using objects he has instilled his essence in as familiars for teleportation. That's a big narrative lift. Is that the car? No, the car is the car. The car is the car. It's the car is not a MacGuffin. It is it's a philosophical totem that is meant to make us really rethink everything that we've ever learned.
Okay.
And so after this happens, it says a heartbeat later in that aforementioned subterranean world, we see, and the Possessor is sitting on the fucking throne of hell. He is on the devil's throne. There is a small legion of demons like bowing to him, kneeling before him. And he says, "Welcome, Satan, you who were Lord of the damned and shall be no more." And we see Satan on the side say, "You witless cur, you don't even suspect what you do. Get off my throne now." Which that last part made me laugh.
That's like some guy, taking your wife and you're taking your house over or whatever like that. And you go over like, "Can I just please get my record collection?" And he's like tapping your wife's breast, like, "Whatever you want, bro." Like, that's what you want. Okay.
Oh man, so good. And then
I love how pissed Satan is in the foreground.
He is. He's like, motherfucker.
He's like Tex Avering. His eyes are about to pop out of his head.
He is. But then he realizes, he's like, or the possessor says, I know what I do, you ex-infernal majesty, for I was born to this destiny, born to destroy and replace you. So there it is. He's given away his master plan. That's what he wants. But Satan's rebuttal is so goddamn awesome. It's so Satan, really, is what it is.
That's so Satan.
It's so Satan, because in the end, he's just like, you fucking moron. He's like, you didn't. Yeah. What is that thing Don Draper said? He's like, you didn't think this through.
Yeah.
And he's like, fool, witless, presumptuous human fool. Are you so blinded by your ambition, so truly mad you cannot understand? I'm not Lord of Hell because I chose it over all else. It is my place in the scheme of things, my preordained destiny. And though I may one day rule other worlds as well, hell will always be mine, my curse and my eternity. Do you presume, this is my favorite fucking line of Satan that we have heard yet. It's very biblical. He says, do you presume to defy the structure of the universe? Like, that's his final, like, mic drop talking to the fucking possessor. And the possessor then just, like, falls to his knees and is like, like he finally figures it out. And Satan's like, hold. Before I can so much as unleash my power, he crumbles as if suddenly stricken. So yeah, Satan's like, what is going on actually? He says, what new deception is this, human scum? Yeah, Satan's fire underwear, his fire briefs in this page, so on point.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jared mentioned at the beginning, he's like, I miss his fire undies. I was like,
well, there you go, Jared.
Come back.
Yeah.
They were missing at the start of the issue though, but they did come back. I think the more aroused he gets with, which he equates with rage and anger, sexuality. He has to cover himself up. Just common decency.
Yeah.
I just speak a little bit on that, like the structure of the universe thing, and that how that kind of echoed like your biblical.
Well, it is. I've been really diving into the Book of Job, which please everyone read the Book of Job, because it is and
insane. Listen to On the Funny podcast where you guys are talking about the Book of Job as the greatest work of comedy.
Yes. My partner on that show, Chris, and I truly believe that Job is the greatest work of satire and comedic literature maybe the world has ever known, because it reveals God as the biggest fucking buffoon, just continually stepping on rakes, and Satan as basically like Robert De Niro in Godfather 2 and Fonzie all wrapped into one, as just like the coolest motherfucker of all time. But, kind of what Satan is saying here is kind of mimicking almost what God is saying in Job. Job is lying in his own shit with boils, and he's just like, why'd you do this to me, God? And God's like, who the fuck are you? Like, I made the universe. And then he goes off and just says, I made unicorns and sea monsters and fuck you. And yeah, that's basically what God was doing. And yeah, he says a lot of things like that, like just like Satan says, do you presume to defy the structure of the universe? But because he's Satan, that sounds way cooler than anything God said in the Book of Job. But yeah, tiny aside. Yeah. And I'm not a religious person, as anyone that knows our show, Matt and I despise religion with every fiber of our being. But it's the only time you should read the Bible is reading the Book of Job, and fucking hilarious.
I do love that there's something really appealing about the arc of Raphael Zoran. This kid who grew up parents of carnies, he finds out that he does have this inherent power, but like the story of hubris, like I know he's a carny and he's a whatever, but like he is all of us, right? Like we're all like this hubristic people, like who think we can rise above our station, or we're more than we are. Social media tells us we're all whatever, important people with very important stories we have to tell and share and blah blah. But ultimately, I mean, like you're saying, we're brought down to our knees and like hugging ourselves and shaking, like Ralph William going, oh God, oh God, oh God.
Yeah, but I loved it also. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we've talked about it before, how, there's Satan, there's Mephisto, and all the incarnations of the devil in the Marvel universe are are kind of disappointing in the end. Most of them,
Mhm.
almost all of them. But this devil in this issue is actually really nuanced and amazing in a lot of ways. Because, and especially when he's saying this, he's like, but this is my place in the scheme of things. Like, this is just how it is. You can't fight this. You did this cool trick and you did this con that you think would work, and it worked to your tiny little human mind. But you know, this is my domain, not because I want this, but because this is my curse. This is my eternity. Right. Like, you can't take that from me. God's not going to let you take that from me. Like, this is mine. Like, it's not even an option. And it's funny that you think it's an option. You're sitting on my throne, but I still win because I'm the fucking devil.
Right. Oh. And yeah. And I love that Satan still got hope. He might expand, but he's definitely never getting rid of this property. This was his first property. And
I did like, he's like, maybe I'll rule other worlds. That's what I also loved. I'm like, good for you, man. You're not giving up the dream.
Nope.
Yeah.
Never. You gotta keep positive. So the next page, we get to see the fate of Raphael Zoran as there's a shock, and he screams out "Yar!" and he is kind of rendered like a Ditko, like these weird, like wiry, weird little like shading lines like Steve Ditko would do, and he's just got blasted with an immense amount of energy. And we see it was Damon. He says, "Greetings, Father. Your paternal instincts overwhelm me."
What a good opening line.
I know, it's so good. And he just, he's just very blithely, and he's like, "Damon, no, your face, the dark soul is in total command." So we find out that Damon realized the key to this whole thing was just embracing his father's evil. And he says, "Don't get your hopes up. It's fading already. It was temporary. I just had to kind of, let go and let it take control in order to beat this guy. The possessor could utilize my dark soul only while it was within me." So he let it out. And he says, but the possessor and I were bounded into one. So I let the dark soul loose without constraint within both of us. It destroyed him from the inside out without his even suspecting. So, he says, "It's ironic. It seems I've saved your wretched flesh this day." And his dad does not like that. He says, "Worthless pig cur of a son, I spit on you. Leave now." Yes, I think I shall. And there's this really nice panel of like green and yellow fire, which I think is a really nice compliment to the color palette of Damon.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, "Never again shall you pass between the dimensions, Damon, for I shall seal all the gateways to hell until such time as I choose to return. And I shall return, my son, to slay you." So he's basically saying, get the fuck out. Your little door trick's not going to work with me anymore. I'm closing the doors on this side permanently until I decide otherwise. And Damon is walking through Pueblos, like sad Charlie Brown. He says, "But too carelessly I have blundered of late. It is time to rethink my strategies, to truly prepare before the next foray. And you'll never know when or from where, but only that the horror shall be far greater than hell itself would have offered." So his father's making this threat as he leaves, walking down the cliffs. Long walk, man. Where's the chariot?
That's what I was wondering. So when the car blew up, when his stately manse blew up, what happened to the chariot? What happened to the demon horses? Did they explode underwater when they're chilling out in their cavern?
That sealed chamber, that's part of hell. That's his father took those back in effect by doing that.
Okay, well, I mean, maybe I don't know. We try not to read ahead, so maybe they'll show up again, or maybe not. Maybe that's
he stole those from his dad when this.
That's true.
And Marvel Spotlight started telling his story, and I think his dad took them back.
Yeah, he's just like, nope, just takes the keys away.
Took the keys. So it looks like, I love that last panel where Damon's just kind of like walking down the cliffs, like, all right, well, ground zero, I guess.
Guess I have to walk everywhere now.
Yeah, totally.
Like, fuck.
What was that doctor's name? She's really cute.
Yeah. He doesn't deserve her.
We know that.
Yeah, we all know.
Does he know that?
No, he doesn't. All right. So, final page, we've reached the epilogue. That first panel reads, "It is a quiet moment of chaos. The young brave, who remains more Nightfire than what he might have been before, gazes down at the figure that sprawls spastically at his feet. The possessor is no more, only Raphael Zoran, an empty, frail, and now quite mad human. Then the young brave hears a new sound. It's Damon behind him saying, "Do not fear, the battle is over. I have merely come for Raphael." Nightfire says, "Fear? Right now my head's spinning so fast I can't think long enough to be afraid. But yes, whoever you are, I think I've had enough of battle." And then, yeah, there's a lot of exposition on this page, like just a ton, in a way that, especially by the last panel, I'm just like, has this whole story been a fucking backdoor pilot? Like, is this just what's going to happen? So yeah, we'll get to it. So Damon is wondering what happened, when he touched his trident. And Nightfire's like, "It seems like though the possessor killed my mentor, his spirit essence stayed here on Earth. Somewhere his spirit must have found you and entered your trident." So
did you remember this?
No, I did not.
I had to look this up again. This was in the episode issue we talked about with Jason.
Yeah.
When that spooky ghost face appears and and Damon's like, "Get out of here, you," and then it goes and he goes into the trident. Yeah, the whole time.
The whole fucking time. So yeah, the trident has been possessed by the spirit and soul of his shaman. Then Nightfire says, "When I touched the trident, his spirit entered my body and passed on, but not before imparting to me the sacred knowledge which enabled me to regain myself and control my powers." So yeah, and then he says, "But strangely, after all this happened, they have not fled me. I seem permanently transformed." Then he says to Damon, he says, "I'd like to ask a favor of you. You said you came for Raphael?" Damon's like, "I merely meant to take him to where he could be treated." And Nightfire says, "Or caged. Don't. Leave him. I will heal him. I feel my destiny is somehow tied to this man. I was inside his head during the time he controlled me. All he had was hate. Even his ambition was born of hate. Now he's empty, hollow. I'd like the chance to fill that emptiness. I want him to live, to know something more than that." And then he walks away carrying the body of the possessor. And this is when I'm just like, sad Incredible Hulk piano, backdoor pilot. Suddenly this is going to be a new issue that's going to appear where it's Nightfire and the possessor having adventures, fucking X-Files. Like, this is what should have happened. This is obviously what John Warner wanted to happen. These guys didn't die. The possessor could have just died, but no, he's being carried off by the most badass character we've seen in a long time. And guess what? We're never going to see these two again.
And Nightfire, I mean, like, he's forever transformed, right? He has
all of his power,
skin like stone, all this power. He can't, so you have that tragedy, that whatever, that Ben Grimm, whatever thing, Hulk thing, where it's like, I don't get to live a life like you guys.
know.
This is my burden. This is my gift. This is my power, whatever. This is who I am now. I am a shaman, and I look like a fucking shaman. Like, my power is externalized. So everyone can see how different I am. I can't hide it and just go to the store and buy milk. Like, this character is fucking fascinating.
Yeah.
And if I've been saying it the whole time, I can't believe we never saw him again.
Nope. They walk off into the sunset and we never hear from them again.
Because I guarantee you, dude, if I was like 12 years old when this came out and I read this, I would have said, will you also add Nightfire to the list of books I'm buying, please? Yeah. Order an extra Nightfire for me and put it in my stack of stuff I want. We don't have a pull list yet. That's coming a few years later. But
no, but you would cut out the coupon at the back of the comic and mark that issue, and it'd be like, oh, it's bi-monthly, but you're like, I still want it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Send my $12 and I want.
Yeah, and you get that comic folded neatly in half in your mailbox.
Crammed in your mailbox.
Oh man.
Where are you at? You want a letter?
Of course I want a letter.
So we got a letter about this whole saga, which I was kind of excited to talk about because we didn't have one last time.
No.
Okay. All right, I'm going to read this one. It's kind of long, but this is covering 3 issues essentially. So I'm going to blah blah. Okay. This is from Hellstrom's Chronicles. I believe this is issue 5 of Son of Satan. Dear Mr. Wolfman, I just finished reading the Homecoming trilogy, and I believe it to be one of the most thought-out epics in comics history. Mr. Warner has done an excellent job of writing, and try as I might, I cannot find any loose ends. A very satisfying work of art. However, it does present an interesting situation. Enter Damon Hellstrom, both hero and anti-hero, locked in one body. His good side wishes to fight his father, the devil, while his evil side wants to join Satan's forces. Truly a study in schizophrenia. Then we meet the possessor, and folks, this fellow is worse off than Damon, by a long shot. Along with paranoid multi-schizophrenia and a character disorder neuroses and a slight twinge of an Oedipus complex. When these two meet, it is clearly Damon who is the hero of the tale, and the possessor who is the villain. Their battle is the usual one for comics. Now we get down to the bottom level. Enter Satan. This is where problems arise. When Satan fights Damon, he is evil. Yet when he faces the possessor, he is, what, good? Evil? Do I detect another split personality? In almost all literature dealing with Satan, he is depicted as something to be despised. Yet have any of us seen anything that could show his point of view? Not really, if you think about it. The ravings of devout Satanists are just as one-sided as the spoutings of devout Christians. I know what the Holy Bible says about Satan. I've read the Satanic Bible and rituals, and I've spent some time in both religions. Neither one satisfies me as to who this being really is. On page 27 of the conclusion of the trilogy, we get a look at what he may truly be. As he says, he did not choose hell. It is his place in, quote, the scheme of things, unquote. Quote, hell will always be mine, my curse and my eternity, end quote. To try to dislodge him of his unholy throne would indeed defy the structure of the universe. I congratulate John Warner on his insight. The parallels between Damon and the possessor are very close. Mother gone, father evil, mind schizophrenic, in the possessor's case, multi-schizoid. Both hate their fathers and battle against being like them. In the possessor, this battle is lost. He becomes just as evil as his father, even more so, in fact. In Damon, the battle is still being fought. Which personality will win, if either? We'll wait and see. One more thing. The scripting was very good, as I said, but I wish to talk art. In my opinion, for what it's worth, Sonny Trinidad is the artist for this magazine. However, he does tend to go a bit overboard at times with detail. Detail is very nice, but too much in a panel tends to make it look a bit muddy. There being so much black ink used, specifically in issue number 3, page 2. Another thing, the whole concept of hell being inside the earth disturbs me. I don't really know why. Scott L. Schlesinger, Reading, Massachusetts.
That's a hell of a letter.
Yeah, let's talk about the letter before we do the response.
I don't know. I feel like, aside from he doesn't really quite understand the Filipino tradition of hyper detail, which is that's just what it's all about.
Yeah, I don't agree with his note about the art at all.
I don't agree with that at all. But I mean, the rest of his letter is pretty nuanced and cool. Like he's right. And I think it was fascinating. He talked about he's read the Bible, he's read the Satanic Bible, and neither really appeal to him completely or really answer any questions, which I really relate to in a lot of ways. Yeah, so no, that was one of I think that was one of the most well-written letters we've read all season as well.
Yeah. And I'm really glad somebody, because I probably would have forgot because I was tired and busy this week. Like I was thinking a lot about the possessor and like how he is the anti-Damon. Like they have a lot in common. Like, they'd be friends if they weren't mortal enemies kind of things. Like, wow, your dad was a dick too? Yeah, man. My dad killed my mom. Yeah. My dad's Satan. Holy shit. Hey, can we get another round here?
Yeah.
Boilermakers, please. Yeah, so I thought that was cool insight.
Very cool.
They have a lot of weird parallels. So I find that attractive. So yeah, the response here is, hell being inside the earth kind of disturbs everyone around here too. That's why it isn't. Which a quick glance at Son of Satan number 1, page 10. Wow, Marv is so... I love Marv. Well, Son of Satan number 1, page 10, panel 6 will reveal. But what the hey? After such a downright nice letter, we're not going to hold you accountable for minor details like that, Scott. Your analyses are interesting. The bullpen's views on matters satanic are probably as divergent as anything else is up here. We feel the important thing is that while entertaining you, we manage to provoke a little thought. That's rewarding. But this is, after all, fantasy. Hopefully fun, and we somehow doubt that anyone involved was trying to define Satan in anything outside of his context as a fictional character in the Marvel universe. Still, thanks for sharing your thoughts and your kind words, Marv.
Way to go, Marv.
Way to go, Marv. So yeah, your final thoughts.
I loved this issue. I mean, I've talked about it this whole episode. I don't know. I thought this was an amazing finale to this trilogy. I loved the art. I mean, yeah, both you and I have gone off about how much we love Nightfire. I thought the Possessor, yeah, I mean, you had texted me that you're just, saying that the Possessor is Wyndham Earl. And once you said that, it unlocked everything for me. And I was just like, yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, the hubris of trying to do this is obviously silly, of trying to dethrone Satan, because you can't dethrone him because he's built into the entire story. You can't change the story. And what that says about religion and beliefs like this, I think is really deep. And I feel like the script that Warner did was really, really good. I mean, we loved Gerber. We love Gerber and Gerber's weirdness and his goofiness and his epic universe bending stories. But yeah, this is a very, very well written story. And it made me, I've thought about it a lot. Like this last issue especially really stuck with me. And I have been kind of pouring over it in my mind. And it's, I don't know. I'm really glad that he took 3 issues to tell this story. I think it was cool he did that right out of the gate. Like, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. And it made me, and you mentioned this, I think, before, it made me wonder if he had this in his head before he had Son of Satan, in a way. Like, I don't know if he had this story and kind of like adapted it to this, but it seems like a lot of these things have been concepts that he had been thinking of for a long time.
Yeah, I don't think I said that. I think that's a great thought. So it's definitely not for me. But like, to me, there's this massive appeal to the stuff we've been talking about the last half hour here of just like the hubris, going in the domain of the gods. I mean, Zoran's obviously not Prometheus, but like that idea where you're muddling in what the gods do and trying to change the natural order of things and thinking that you can affect the world in a larger way like that, and change nature, capital N, is always a great way to get slapped down. And I'm always here for a story like that, where someone's getting slapped down for stepping outside of their lane. Because we're pretty fragile little creatures. And even though Zoran has some showmanship and some innate ability because of his latent mutantism or whatever it was, basically to walk his path is to walk the path of madness. And he's paying the ultimate price. Being a guy that loves the original Grimm's fairy tales and not sanitized ones, I want him to have his, toes cut off and whatever. Like, I wanted crows to peck his eyes out and all that shit. But like, Nightfire comes and brings the humanity and the compassion. He's like, I will take him. I will heal him. I will make him better. Like, oh my God, I love you even more. Like, I thought you were fascinating before this. And now you have a heart and a soul. And I just wanted the guy to get, his comeuppance and have his head cut off in a guillotine. So, because I'm a fucking shallow prick about that kind of stuff. I want people to be punished. I fucking love this. Trinidad's art is fascinating, just enough of the Curtis magazine kind of Filipino stuff to make it feel older and edgier and more sophisticated. Warner, like we have been saying the whole time, clearly had an idea. I think he came out of the gate thinking, if Damon were not from a deity, what would he be? What would the earthbound version of Damon be? And how would he probably shake out as a person most times, 9 times out of 10? And I think that's the story he told, and I think it fucking ruled. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was cool that the way the story was structured, where like you get fed little bits, like, ooh, okay, oh, I see. And then you move on, and it's like, oh, by the way, before I told you that one flashback, there's another flashback that even gives more nuance to that. Like, That's pretty sophisticated writing. It's either shitty writing or really sophisticated writing, depending on what your view on the story is. I thought it was very sophisticated.
It's extremely sophisticated. No, it absolutely is. And this does not feel like any other Marvel comic that was being put out at the time.
Fuck
and
no.
especially reading this, like, I understand why people are like, oh yeah, Gerber wrote Son of Satan. That's amazing. Like, I'm going to go back and read these. This is a fucking jewel. This is a hidden gem of Bronze Age weirdness. Like, yeah. I feel like we're trying to, proselytize about the 3-part trilogy that is Homecoming, because it's amazing. Everyone should read it, and I'm glad that all the people that came to the live stream, like, I'm glad you've been with us for this, because it's like unearthing something incredible.
Yeah, definitely. And it's been a recurring theme, so I don't want to hammer it too much, but please, I know that we have Marvel by the Month listeners, and they know everybody at Marvel. Somebody please use Nightfire. This is silly, man.
This is crazy.
Come on. Jake Gomez is out there. Like, let's get a native coalition going or something. Like, damn.
Oh, shit.
I mean, even if he aged in Marvel time, even if he's older now, we missed out on some prime storytelling. Like, at least let him be an elder with that same power, like some type of like the true shaman. Like, he's actually been shamaning this whole time in the background. Like, and he has a ton of adventures. You can tell some of those in flashback. You can have him be an adult man, because you can be old and still be interesting, despite what comic books and TV and movie and social media want you to think.
No, this is something that Ben and Taboo need to revive. Actually, yeah. If they revisit Jake Gomez, if they do another Werewolf by Night thing, they need to get Nightfire back in there, because he is incredible and needs to be utilized properly. Well,
he is in essence a god. I mean, the way somehow the confluence of his innate ability, his spirituality of his tribe, his training, plus the possessors imbuing him with power, and then being exposed to whatever infernal realms, all those things somehow, like a chemistry set, made him a god. He's a demigod.
He is.
So, yeah. All right, Marvel, do it.
Do it.
And then put our names in there somewhere, apparently.
Somewhere, just a little thanks. That's all.
All right. Well, we were promised at the end a new chapter in the story of Damon Hellstrom.
That's right. Sorry,
It blew up all shit, right? I mean, that's I don't think we read the teaser at the end.
No,
but when they did that thing they do in like action movies and shit, where it's like, we burned down your house, we killed your family, or whatever. So
no,
where we go.
Let me read the teaser. It does say next issue, a new storyline, a new direction, the Celestial Fool. So what that means, we'll find out.
All right. Wait, didn't we do this?
Yeah.
With Gerber?
Yeah, I know.
We'll see. A 3-part storyline? Okay.
We'll see.
All right. The Tarot.
I don't know. Well, I mean, Warner's got my vote. I'm going to follow him. I'll follow him wherever at this point.
I'll follow him anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll walk off a cliff.
Yeah.
Especially if Trinidad's drawing it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. No, this, I'm 100% in. I remember Brad saying, like, you guys are going to dig this change. Obviously Gerber was a blast, and it's a shame that he left the book, but you guys are going to like Warner because you like that kind of the spooky, gothy horror stuff, whereas Gerber was doing more metaphysical, playful things. So, yeah. Jason, thank you for joining us. Thanks to everybody who joined us. That was super fun. I love having all the comments and stuff like that as well. And remember that, folks who comment here in the chat, you are in the drawing for a water bottle next time. And also, if you could like the video and maybe leave a comment as well below, something related to the book or the issue or whatever, that'd be great. Those are all things that help us kind of get bumped up. We would love to have more people who don't know we exist discover us through YouTube's algorithms. So, thanks. And and thanks, Letty, for joining us. Thanks, everybody. And Michelle and Glenn and Bill and the other Jason and Jared and everybody. There's a lot of people here. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here. It's kind of exciting.
Cool. All right. So we just have a little bit of back matter here, and then we're out. So Normally we have the bonus show that comes out before the episode. However, because this was a live one and I had to reschedule it, the bonus show is coming out for our special patrons and whatnots probably tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about our devil movie this week was Petey Wheatstraw by the great Rudy Ray Moore, or starring. He didn't write it. Yeah, it's basically an expanded bit. The Devil's Son-in-Law seemed like it's a bit from his stand-up that got expanded into a full comedy, and it's a very strange little film. And it was nice to laugh at something that we watched that was supposed to be laughed at. Because I did laugh a lot, but it was intentional. So yeah, you don't have the copy, so want me just to do the job?
Oh yeah. I don't have the copy. Okay. Sorry.
Sure. So what I'm referring to, if you don't know, folks, if you're just stumbling on this, we do a bonus show for our Patreon supporters. You can go to patreon.com/Bronze Age Monsters if you want to. There's several tiers of support, and a lot of people like to support us there, and we really appreciate it. And one of the many benefits of that is you don't have to have us stop and talk about My Pillow or I don't know, silver pills you take to purify you from COVID or anything. I mean, we just do the show, and it's because folks support us on Patreon. So there's lots of levels. There's like a $1 level, which is essentially just a tip jar. That's our cult member level. And it's a thank you to us. And as a thank you back to you, you get Werewolf by Night and Man Wolf art that we had James Edward Clark, this Canadian graphic artist, do. It's gorgeous. It's art for your phone or your tablet or your laptop. It's beautiful. So that's just a thank you from us for supporting us $1 a month. The next level up is $2 a month, and that's Scaly Ones. And they receive the audio version of our bonus show. And on the bonus show, we just talk about a movie each week that is specific to the season we're doing. So this season, it's all devil movies. And we were doing 70s devil movies because Son of Satan was in the 70s. So like I said, we're talking about Petey Wheatstraw, the blaxploitation movie. And there's don't get me started on the term blaxploitation. It's very loaded and very stupid in many ways. But particularly in this instance, where this was made by Black people for Black audiences, starring Black people, like it's not exploitative at all. It's fucking empowering and awesome and cool. So yeah, we talk about a movie like that and other stuff. Sometimes I talk about what I'm reading on Kickstarter that I bought from Kickstarter, and I'm reading on comics. We talk about Jacob's had this crazy stuff going on in his job at the library where he's been fighting a culture war, being a culture warrior for all the smart, intelligent, empathetic people. That's been coming up a lot. It's just, it's literally a bonus show. It's just stuff that doesn't fit into the main show. And it's an extra 20 to 45 minutes of content a week that we put out. So if you do the $2 a month tier, the Scaly One tier, you get the audio version of that. And that's pretty cool. But if you want to give $3 a month, that's Demon Spawn. There's a video version. We make it to be a video show. We peel off the audio for folks that don't want to support us at that tier, but it's a video show. We put clips in. We're on camera the whole time, just like this. And we put in clips from the movies, art from the books we're talking about, all kinds of stuff like that. Our most popular tier, however, is the $5 a month. It's the pack member tier. And those folks get the bonus show. They get that art we talked about at the beginning. They get the audio version of the show, the video version of the show. There's some gated stuff that is only for that tier or above. And so they get also verbal shout outs from us on the show. And in the bonus show, they get shout outs in the credits. I do need to mention real quick, we have a new pack member as of this week. Welcome to the pack, Mr. Benjamin Potter.
Nice. Welcome. I saw we got a new one this week. Yeah. Oh yeah. We can definitely hear that.
This is my Man Wolf from Russ.
Yep. I got mine.
All right.
Too.
So yeah, welcome. Russ sent us these Man Wolf dolls when we're doing that season. So yeah, let's call out those folks. And Jacob doesn't have his list this week. So normally we, oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. I got the list. I just didn't have the copy.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll start the pack members like Tim Tucker
and Brian from Marvel by the Month,
Blake, last name withheld,
Caleb,
David Goodwin,
David Goodwin won a water bottle, by the way, this week,
That's
folks.
right.
You didn't see the whole episode. And he also sent in that nice thing about the backstory behind Ben Grimm's fear of ghosts at the start of the show. Thank you. By the way, if you want to mail us stuff like that, please mail us at bronzeagemonsters@gmail.com. That's a great way to get a hold of us. And Ben M., our good friend Ben M., the mixologist and comics fan.
Michelle from Moonlit Comics, we were so excited to see tonight.
Yes, and Letty. Thank you for being here, Letty. We appreciate you.
Jeff Fitzpatrick.
Johnny Turner.
Jesse McFerrin.
Justin the Owl.
Russ from Pathways, a Sith podcast.
Russ, that's the Manwolf Russ.
That's Manwolf.
Brad Michael Elmore.
Jason Finestone, who joined us tonight.
Yes, thank you for joining us, Jason. And also on with us tonight was Worm Drive Pro.
Good to see you. Jared C., also
here for a while. Brink.
Bill from Long Island. Had a lot of great comments tonight, Bill.
Yes, thank you for joining us, Bill. David D.
Glenn Lash, also here.
Rob from Marvel by the Month.
And Rob Haferman.
And Dave Kennedy is a new member.
Nice.
I think you have an older list.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, the new pack member, Benjamin Potter. There is one final tier. This was actually fan demand. People gave us more money than we asked for. And so we made a new tier for them. That is Star God. That is inspired by our man, John Jameson.
Mm-hmm.
So those folks get all the stuff that the pack members get. There's also some additional gated content that is just for them. And once you have been a Star God for 6 months, you can go into our Threadless shop and pick out a t-shirt, a coffee mug, travel mug, whatever you want, and we'll send it to you free of charge as a thank you. So the Star Gods are wonderful folks like our newest Star God who ascended from the pack, Jesse McFerrin.
That's right. MJ, or Some British Cult.
Ryan from Across the Bifrost.
John Walsh.
The great Michael Giacchino.
Melissa Watts. Josh
Link.
Jackson T. Overstreet.
That name Michael loves so much.
He really does.
Mark Nivens.
Eric Hadley.
And Catherine Neff. Thank you for supporting us at the Star God level. You guys make all the extra fun stuff we get to do possible by giving us a budget. We appreciate you. And we love you. All right. So the last thing we didn't mention was that there is a voicemail too. If you want to call and leave a voicemail that we can play on the show, you can call 971-220-5865. That's 971-220-JUNK and leave a voicemail and just say, hey, you can use my voicemail. And we will. And otherwise, like I said, you can email us at bronzeagemonsters@gmail.com. We're on Instagram at Bronze Age Monsters. We're on Twitter, unfortunately, at Bronze Age Monst, the number 1. Bronze Age Monst 1. For every one.
And I should mention, we haven't mentioned in a while, but I thought I should, because I have so many buttons ready to be made. I have the circles cut out, ready to be made. We have not been talking about that much because, Matt and I like to imbibe and, fill our head with hallucinogenic chemicals when we record. And so we forget about this stuff. But if you would like to leave us a hopefully 5-star review on either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, however you want to listen, and take a screenshot of it and send it to us, we will send you a pack of 4 real buttons made from real Son of Satan comics. And this is from the Son of Satan issue that was 4,000 Holes in Forest Park, one of our favorites. And so all of the buttons come from that issue. Hey, 14? Who knows? Yeah, 14. You could get a button with the Legion of Nihilists on it. Think about that.
And if you are one of those younger listeners who has never actually got to read a old original issue and seen that coloring we're talking about, these buttons are made out of that. Yeah. We took them and we punched the fuck out of them, and we made buttons. You can wear one on your denim jacket.
Yep, on your acid wash denim jacket. You can put some Son of Satan buttons on there. Yeah. Like I say, Matt and I, we are destroy to enjoy comic fans. We love to destroy our valuable old comics, and so they can only be enjoyed the way they were supposed to, which is either read them and put them in your back pocket of your jeans as you ride your BMX bike down to the swamp, or just cut them up and make them into buttons. That's what I like to do. So yeah, if you'd like to leave us a review, I will definitely send you some buttons. Just send us a screenshot of the review and your address. They're already on their way to you.
You know what's odd is we have increasing listeners, but not increasing reviews.
I know.
Doesn't make sense.
Well, I don't think we push, you kind of have to push reviews, because even I, as a podcast listener to podcasts that I really like, I need to be reminded. I'm just like, fuck, why haven't I reviewed that? That's stupid.
Yeah, all right, you're right.
So you need to be reminded. It's not their fault, Matt. It's just how it is. So yeah. And if any of our, pack members or Star Gods, heaven forbid, haven't left us a review, just go ahead and do that. Just pull the trigger and we'll send you more shit. You give us money every month. Let us send you shit.
No shit.
For God's sake.
We're doing this for you.
Yeah.
What Destroy to Enjoy. What was it? We had two hashtags we had going for binding and for button making. I forgot what the second one was.
Mine was Destroy to Enjoy, and you had a good one too. It was something about bind. I can't remember what it was, but that was mine, and you had a really good one as well that we aren't thinking of, that we need to remember. We'll have to go back to. It's in one of our posts, so we'll go back.
Yeah, one of the gated things that we have just for pack members and Star Gods was we're doing a video series about how to bind your comics and how to make bound editions that are like unique to you.
Oh, I got one here too.
I was gonna say, like this. Like this is before they made an omnibus, I had an Untold Tales of Spider-Man bound edition made, and it's true comics. It's got all the stuff, all the letters columns, all the ads, all that jazz in there. What do you got?
I got War is Hell.
Oh, goddamn.
Which is, 70s horror, written by Chris Claremont. Got, all the beautiful covers, all the ads,
man.
all that shit. And Matt and I love it. And so, if I had endless money, I would bind every single comic I owned, no matter how valuable.
So would I. And before you ask, yes, I did bind a Werewolf by Night number 32. So what?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Fuck it. Who cares?
I've done some horrible things.
Yeah, that's not even close to the worst thing you've ever done.
Some comics.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining us on this live episode. I think the next live one we'll be doing will be the season finale. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be down at Jacob's house, and we're going to be having cocktails, trying new cocktails together. That should be fun.
It's going to be a blast.
Another thing that you guys are probably going to help pay for. So you members, thank you so much. All right. So please join us next week on the regular feed for the show. If you just discovered us on YouTube somehow through algorithm magic, please go to your podcast server and add the Bronze Age Monsters. We change every season. So this season is Son of Satan, but next season will be a different Bronze Age thing. So it's going to be specifically a Bronze Age buffet of stuff like Brother Voodoo, the Living Mummy, those different characters that were the Living Colossus, all those characters that had kind of tryout books that never really took off. Get a little bit of that so you can kind of bounce around and try different monster stuff out. Check us out. We'd appreciate it. All right. Well, until we meet next week by the Seven Circles and the Hadean Chimes, stay bronze, Pony Boy. Stay bronze.
That was awesome, everybody.